Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Works meeting for May 16th. I have with me, I am Brenda Fincher, I chair the committee. I have with me Councilmember Seth Winder-Core, Director Chad Barron, and Cheryl Visef taking the notes over there. Hope everyone is doing well today. We are going to get started with any changes to the agenda.
We do have one change, an added item for concurrence on grants, upcoming grants.
Okay, so that'll be item 4D for grant concurrence.
Information only. It's a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Or not.
Okay, with that, we are ready for approval of the minutes.
Chair, I make a motion to approve minutes from May 2nd, 2022.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved, and we are on to consultant services agreement with Natural Systems Design. We have Melissa Dahl with us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Melissa Dahl, engineer in Public Works Engineering, here to bring forward a consultant agreement for you to look at. Just want to kick things off and remind you both of the Mill Creek Reestablishment Project. I know you've heard extensively about it, but it's been a while since we last spoke on it. So just as a refresher for everyone watching at home, the Reestablishment Project is a large-scale flood reduction and habitat work project along Mill Creek. There's a lot of components of the project, and so what I'm bringing before you is related to just one element of the overall project. So the Little Property Mitigation Design Contract is related to mitigation and channel relocation work that would happen at the Little Property. We call it the Little Property not because it's little, it's actually very large, but because it used to be owned by the Little family. So the name has stuck since then. You'll see that used pretty regularly in our documentation. So mitigation work is essentially work that is required for impacts resultant from the reestablishment project. So anytime we have habitat impacts, we're required to mitigate for them. And so this property would be used as one element of that mitigation. So the picture in front of you is a vicinity of where the Little Property is located. It's located just on the north end of James Street. And then this green outline here is the footprint, the general footprint of the Little Property, and then the blue line kind of going northernly is actually Mill Creek. So it's right up next to Mill Creek, so it's a great opportunity for mitigation. So the proposed wetland mitigation is one element of this contract. This is actually a picture that was actually taken last Tuesday of the Little Property by a city staff member who was out there. This is an existing wetland through the site. You can see the standing water out there. We're proposing to enhance the existing wetland. So right now, although it looks very nice and picturesque, a lot of the green that you see out there is actually reed canary grass, which is really not ideal wetland habitat. So we would be proposing, this consultant would provide us support with enhancing the wetland, replacing it with native plant species, native wetlands, so it'd be a more improved habitat. And that would help cover us for some of the mitigation requirements for the overall project. And then one of the other more significant elements of this contract is the proposed channel realignment. So as you saw in the first picture, Mill Creek currently runs north-south, immediately adjacent to a number of homes along Woodford Avenue. You can see the backs of those homes but right up against Mill Creek. It's a very linearized system, and it's not the most ideal habitat. It's not how you want to see natural stream habitat. So we are proposing to relocate the channel away from that north-south channel into instead something that's more sinuous and more natural that you'd see in the world. So that would help both provide a more natural habitat. Mill Creek is a salmon-bearing stream, and so that would provide better habitat for them. But it will also help get the creek away from the backside of a lot of those homes on Woodford Avenue. Right now, when the creek tops its banks, it does impact that area of Mill Creek and James Street, but by moving it into the property itself, if it tops over its banks, it will provide the flood storage at the property itself. And that's one of the benefits too of it naturally being a wetland, is there's going to be a lot more storage capacity and a lot more conveyance by relocating the channel through there. So our consultant services agreement that we're bringing to you will provide design and support of the design and permitting of this for both the channel realignment and the wetland mitigation of the site. That is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Councilmember Corr.
Thank you, Melissa. Just a quick question. The thin blue line, is that part of the channel, proposed channel?
Are you talking about the dark blue line?
No, I'm the one right on top of, so there's
On the right?
This
Yeah,
one
that.
right here? Mm-hmm. That's actually a layer in ArcGIS. So it shows where they expect flow to go. It's not actually a stream channel there. It's just,
Okay, that was.
it's a little confusing. I recognize that.
Okay, all right, that was my only question. Thank you.
And I had one question. So sometimes rivers move. Is it likely that it will stay there?
It will likely stay mostly in that property boundary. We would dig it such that it would predominantly stay in that footprint. The good news is that by putting it out into the middle of the property, if it does jump, which creeks and rivers naturally do, as you pointed out, there will be room for it to do so in a way that won't harm anybody. That's an issue that we have at Mill Creek. If you were to have zoomed out of this map, which unfortunately I'm not able to do, Mill Creek essentially starts from Smith Street and goes straight all the way up to beyond this property. And if it was a naturalized system, if we didn't have development, it would have been jumping all over the place. Unfortunately, that leads to flooding for nearby residents. So by doing this, it'll allow the creek to do its natural processes, but will also allow for it to have the channel move the way it wants to.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? In that case, we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the consultant services agreement with Natural Systems Design in the amount of $126,569 for the Little Property Mitigation Design Contract, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second, it has been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the consultant services agreement with Natural Systems, Inc. for the amount of $126,569 for the Little Property Mitigation. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we are going to hear about Public Works Week. And we have Dave Brock to fill us in.
Good afternoon. Dave Brock, Deputy Public Works Director, responsible for the Operations and Maintenance Division. As you noted, this is Public Works Week, May 15th through the 22nd. This is the 62nd year that Public Works Week is being recognized on a national level. As I was watching the introductory video to the meeting this afternoon and Melissa's presentation, and David's coming up here after myself, very diverse set of work that is kind of under the Public Works umbrella in terms of projects that are done, programs that are managed, and then systems, infrastructure systems that are also managed as well. Oh, I went the wrong direction. On that, a lot of hands and activities in managing this, and really Public Works professionals include both government employees as well as our partners in the private sector in providing the essential services to our residents. Wanted to highlight a number of the career opportunities that are available under the Public Works umbrella, and you're seeing a lot of them represented here and in the next few slides: GIS, land survey, some of our special emphasis, sewer system maintenance. The engineering profession, project administration, accounting, some of our traffic signal techs, and right-of-way maintenance employees involved in that activity. Contract administration from construction, some of the fleet services and accounting functions. Takes a lot of hands and a lot of different professions to make things work seamlessly. Seamlessly is what we hope. Behind the scenes, most often, we do highlight throughout the year different projects, activities, and programs that we have. and I just wanted to highlight them. A lot of things in motion in what they do. Also a few more here in our storm drainage system, signs and markings, and then our water system as well. One of the things we've done in years past, pre-pandemic, is we've done a really investment opportunity into future generations of workers in providing these essential services and functions. And we've partnered with the school districts to do a career fair, if you will, and really different opportunities. Under the Public Works umbrella, there's career opportunities that require both secondary, post-high school education, as well as a lot of careers that do not require that further educational opportunity. They're well-paying careers. We look forward to Public Works partnership with the school districts. We're not doing it this year. I know the school district's got new leadership, and we hope to engage them and bring this event back next year. There are other activities we've done at a successful Planet Protectors Summit earlier this year, participating in career fairs that are coming up and job opportunities, job fairs and stuff to once again invest in those future generations. Tomorrow night at council, there'll be a proclamation read, presented to a couple staff members, and then we are going to have a fun activity later this week for those Public Works staff members as well. So I just wanted to come in here and talk for a few minutes tonight, this afternoon rather, and happy Public Works Week.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Thank you for all you do.
This is one of my favorite events that happens each year when we do have the actual time to do the event. Because even though you went through the fields, within those fields, there's a lot of different fields or different specialties. And it's just amazing to see all that is Public Works, especially for someone who, like me, who didn't really think about Public Works. I see the parks, I see the police, I see the fire trucks. The big Vector truck, other than that, I really didn't notice things about Public Works. But everything out there touches Public Works just about. So above the ground, below the ground, fascinating work, fascinating fields of work. And it's just really interesting, fun, educational, and amazing when you go out and see everything from what lives in our stream to what is in, like you said, under the ground and above the ground. The size of a traffic light, for instance, you see it and it looks this big, but when it's almost as tall as you are, it makes a little bit of an impact. So I appreciate it. It's a great way for the taxpayers to see how their tax dollars are spent and to see the care and the pride that the employees also take in their roles. So thank you very much. I look forward to it next year, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Now we're on to 4D. We have the Grant Concurrence. We're going to be learning about that, seeing if we can get some more dollars in.
Afternoon, council members.
Sure.
By way of introduction, my name is David Payne. I'm the city's new transportation planner. I bring a background of both plans, helping put plans together, very similar to the one that y'all put together over the last 3 years. Project development, advancing those ideas from the plans to make them a reality, including presentations like the tip that y'all heard to get projects basically advanced. One of the ways that we do that, of course, is funding. So some of the things that I'll be talking about, y'all have heard either through the TIP program or through the TMP. So this is just one of those necessary steps that we take to bring resources to the table. As far as y'all do understand already that project development and advancing infrastructure in the city of Kent is very grants dependent. So tonight I'll be briefing y'all on applications for 2 grant programs that we're applying for this month, offered by Washdot, both the Pedestrian and Bicycle Grant nominees and the Safe Routes to School grant nominees. So the first category, the Washdot nominees. These projects are a little smaller or considered programmatic or include elements of larger ongoing programs like the Meet Me on Meeker project. So these are either developed solely by Kent or in partnerships through King County Metro or others. The city has a good history of these. Typically, we'll go after maybe one. This year, we're being a little bit more aggressive. We're going to put in 2 or 3 applications, maybe 4, for the first one, because there's more funding available for these types of projects, and so we want to take advantage of that and position ourselves for them. Even though we may not be granted the award in this funding round, sometimes the projects are just off the list, and then they can come back around, sort of like a second look. So we want to make sure that the city is well positioned to receive those funds when they come available. So when we put the project lists together, we're also really cognizant of the scoring criteria, so that we want to make sure that we're putting not just the best projects forward for the city, but also ones that are going to score well. And those scoring criteria change a little bit from year to year, and so, but still, these are projects that have bubbled up through either the TMP or the TIP or discussions with bodies like these and y'all's input. So the 4 projects that are being nominated for the pedestrian and bicycle grant this year include design and numbered 1 through 4 on the map there. The first is design and construction of a pedestrian hybrid beacon on Pacific Highway in the vicinity of the 24-600 block. This is the long section of the road between Fred Meyer and the Lowe's. One of the items that we heard a lot about in the TMP were that folks want to be able to safely cross the roadway. And so projects like these really hit the sweet spot for scoring criteria, but also the amount of funds that are available and implementability. We can bring these to the ground quickly because the right-of-way is already in the public hands, et cetera. The second project is, y'all are familiar with the Meet Me on Meeker project, 64th and Meeker intersection. This one is advanced in design, and so we're in a good position to apply for those funds. The third is another pedestrian hybrid beacon on Kangley Road at Lake Meridian Park. So design is complete, and this was a partnership with Metro. Another one not on the map, but from a prior application that we want to note is the Panther Lake Library, another pedestrian hybrid beacon. So while it's not shown on this map, we're hopeful that that one is already advanced through the development process, and we're hopeful that that one is also competitive for funding. And lastly, you see the little green circle there on downtown. So that would be for a plan effort, again, to advance the idea or the concept in project development. So getting more public involvement, throwing some alternatives out there to develop and advance that idea so that it becomes more available for design and construction funds in the future. So that would be approximately from Interurban Trail to Kent Station. And again, we're hopeful that that will score well at the criteria. And then lastly, the Safe Routes to Schools grant nominees. There are 2 projects on this list. This has a similar scoring process through Washdot, but they're different buckets of money. So they have a slightly different scoring timeline associated with them, and they are federalized, so they're a little bit more complex and a little bit more lengthy to get to bring to bear. But it's important for both of these categories to note that they're tied back to another program that y'all heard a presentation about last month. I would remiss not to note the local road safety plan. So that's where you have we do the analysis to show that there's needs, and then what the proposed solution is, how it's going to meet those needs. So that helps with the scoring of both of these categories of projects. So these are also projects that scored highly in that analysis. So the 2 projects here are the Meet Me on Meeker Kent along the Kent Elementary School frontage. That was also partly funded through a prior grants application with PSRC. That's going to provide good separation of the different travel modes. So that one seems to be well positioned for scoring in this process. And then lastly, construction of the 64th Avenue crossing at South 232nd Street. The design is complete on that through a partnership with King County Metro. These applications are due slightly staggered. We've got 2 weeks for one of them, and we've got 3 weeks for the next. So all wrapped up by June 6th, and then hopefully we'll be coming back to you a couple months later, letting you know that we've been awarded one or the other. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Councilman Court? I have no questions. Thank you very much, and I'm looking for good results with that.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
So thanks for letting us add those as an item. As David pointed out, the council, public's heard about these projects through various venues, mostly the Transportation Master Plan, the 6-year Transportation Improvement Program, a local road safety plan, and then staff has gone through and analyzed the grant criteria and what we thought would be, the right match for the right grant. And in doing so, came up with these 6 projects. So this is more of a making sure council's aware. Obviously, an action would be accepting the grant if we're successful. So we just want to make sure or committee was aware and okay with it. And then we'll put the horsepower into getting the applications done and put them in, and we'll find out where we score. And if we're successful, we'll bring it back for a vote.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
That's it.
In that case, meeting is adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to the rest of the week with a little bit of moisture.